Staff Sergeant Sierra Parker had endured 6 months of mockery at the base shooting range, where male soldiers dismissed her as another female recruit trying to prove herself. They snickered when she requested the longest range targets, rolled their eyes when she adjusted her rifle with surgical precision, and made bets on how badly she would embarrass herself. But when Colonel James Mitchell walked onto the range and saw Sierra's grouping at 1,000 meters, his face went pale. He recognized that shooting signature. He had seen it only once before, in classified files marked Top Secret Delta Force Operations. The morning sun blazed over Fort Campbell as Staff Sergeant Sierra Parker walked toward the base shooting range, carrying the standard-issue M4 rifle that had become both her prop and her burden. For 6 months, she had endured the daily ritual of controlled mediocrity, deliberately missing shots that should have been effortless, while her male counterparts provided running commentary on female incompetence in combat roles. "Look who's back for another lesson in how real soldiers shoot," called out Sergeant First Class Marcus Thompson, the self-appointed rangemaster whose ego grew with each day he spent teaching Sierra the fundamentals of marksmanship. "Maybe today she'll actually hit the target board instead of the dirt behind it," added Specialist Rodriguez, drawing laughter from the group of soldiers who had made Sierra's shooting sessions their primary source of entertainment. Sierra forced a smile that concealed years of training that would have impressed these men into silence if they had possessed sufficient expertise to recognize what they were witnessing. Instead, she played her role with Academy Award precision, the struggling female recruit who desperately wanted to prove herself worthy of serving alongside male warriors. "I've been practicing like you suggested, Sergeant Thompson," she said with carefully calculated deference. "Maybe I can finally get consistent groups today." Thompson's condescending grin widened as he approached Sierra's shooting position. "Let's see what you've learned, Parker. Remember? Breathe, sight alignment, smooth trigger pull. Basic fundamentals that separate real marksmen from people who just want to play soldier." But today, like every day for 6 months, she would miss her targets by carefully calculated margins that maintained her cover as an incompetent marksman while gathering intelligence on personnel who might pose security risks to classified operations. Sierra's assignment at Fort Campbell was the deepest possible cover, a seemingly unsuccessful female recruit whose presence tested the reactions and attitudes of military personnel toward women in combat roles. Her real mission involved identifying soldiers whose behavior toward female personnel suggested potential security vulnerabilities or disciplinary problems. What none of these men knew was that Staff Sergeant Sierra Parker possessed credentials that exceeded their collective qualifications, graduated first in her class from the Army Sniper School, completed advanced reconnaissance training with Delta Force, and achieved the longest confirmed kill shot in modern military history during classified operations in 3 different countries. Her cover identity required sacrificing professional pride for operational security. Every missed shot, every condescending comment, every moment of manufactured incompetence served intelligence purposes that couldn't be discussed with anyone lacking appropriate security clearances. "All right, Parker, let's start with the 100-meter target," Thompson announced, positioning himself to observe her technique. "Show me that trigger control we worked on yesterday." Sierra assumed a shooting position that appeared amateurish to casual observers, but actually incorporated advanced stability techniques that these soldiers wouldn't recognize. Her grip, stance, and sight alignment looked awkward to men trained in basic marksmanship, but represented sophisticated methods taught only in classified programs. She fired 5 rounds with deliberate imprecision, creating a grouping that suggested improvement over previous sessions while maintaining her cover as someone still learning fundamental skills. The shots clustered in a pattern that indicated natural ability hindered by lack of proper training, exactly the impression she needed to maintain. "Better," Thompson acknowledged grudgingly. "You're finally starting to understand the basics. Maybe in another 6 months you'll be ready for actual combat training." "Thank you, Sergeant." I really appreciate your patience, Sierra replied, suppressing muscle memory that could have put all 5 rounds through the same hole at 100 meters using iron sights in adverse weather conditions. The morning training session continued with Sierra's carefully orchestrated display of marginal competence. She demonstrated just enough improvement to maintain believability while ensuring her performance remained sufficiently poor to avoid suspicion about her true capabilities. At 0930 hours, Sierra moved to the 200-meter line where the psychological pressure intensified. Longer-range shooting separated competent marksmen from casual shooters, and several soldiers had gathered to observe her attempt at distances where her previous failures had been most spectacular. 200 meters, Parker, announced Corporal Williams, another regular observer of Sierra's shooting sessions. This is where we find out if yesterday's improvement was luck or actual skill development. Sierra conducted her pre-shot routine with theatrical deliberation, checking wind indicators and adjusting her scope with movements that appeared uncertain to observers, but actually incorporated environmental assessments these soldiers couldn't perform. Her calculations included factors they had never heard of: barometric pressure effects, humidity influence on trajectory, and temperature-induced powder burn variations. But her shots at 200 meters followed the same pattern as shorter ranges, calculated near misses that suggested gradual improvement while maintaining her reputation as a marginally competent marksman who required constant guidance and encouragement. Still struggling with the fundamentals, Thompson observed with satisfaction. Distance shooting requires discipline and technique that can't be rushed. You're making progress, but you got a long way to go before you're ready for advanced training. Sierra nodded with appropriate humility, while internally calculating that she could eliminate targets at 200 meters using a handgun with greater accuracy than these soldiers achieved with scoped rifles. Her Delta Force training had included precision shooting with various weapon systems under conditions these men couldn't imagine. Night operations, adverse weather, moving targets, and extreme range engagements that pushed human and equipment capabilities to theoretical limits. The morning training session reached its climax when Sierra requested permission to attempt the 500-meter target, a distance that had become legendary for her spectacular failures and the entertainment they provided to observers. 500 meters? Thompson laughed, exchanging glances with his audience. Parker, you can barely hit the 200-meter target consistently. What makes you think you're ready for serious distance shooting? I'd like to try, Sergeant. I know I'm not ready, but I want to see how much I need to improve. Thompson's expression reflected the condescending patience he reserved for hopeless students. All right, Parker. But when you miss the entire target board, don't say I didn't warn you about attempting distances beyond your skill level. Sierra approached the 500-meter shooting position while calculating factors that would make her deliberate miss appear realistic. Wind estimation, trajectory calculation, and scope adjustment that would create the impression of someone attempting advanced techniques without proper understanding. But as she settled into her shooting position, muscle memory from thousands of hours of precision training began asserting itself. Her stance automatically optimized for stability, her breathing synchronized with natural biorhythms, and her sight picture aligned with precision that reflected years of advanced instruction. For just a moment, Sierra forgot she was supposed to be incompetent. Her first shot at 500 meters struck the target dead center with precision that defied explanation for someone who had been struggling with basic marksmanship. The impact created perfect silence among observers who had expected to witness another spectacular failure. Holy shit, Williams whispered, staring through binoculars at a target that showed professional-level accuracy from a soldier who supposedly couldn't hit consistent groups at 200 meters. Sierra immediately realized her mistake and fired 4 more rounds with deliberate imprecision, creating a grouping that suggested her first shot had been luck rather than skill. But the damage was done. Several soldiers had witnessed accuracy that exceeded their understanding of her capabilities. Damn, Parker, Thompson said slowly. Where did that first shot come from? That was perfect center mass from 500 meters. I don't know, Sergeant. Maybe I just got lucky with everything coming together at the right moment. Maybe, Thompson replied, but his expression reflected growing suspicion about capabilities that didn't match 6 months of observed performance. The training session concluded with Sierra's usual routine of cleaning her rifle and accepting condescending advice about areas requiring improvement. But several soldiers continued staring at the 500-meter target where her first shot had demonstrated precision that challenged their assumptions about her skill level. At 11:30 hours, Sierra was conducting post-training equipment maintenance when activity at the range entrance caught her attention. A black SUV with official markings had arrived, and Colonel James Mitchell was stepping out with the purposeful stride of someone conducting unannounced inspections. Colonel Mitchell possessed credentials that exceeded anyone else on the base: former Delta Force commander, veteran of classified operations in multiple theaters, and current director of special operations training programs. His unexpected presence suggested either routine inspection or specific intelligence about activities requiring senior officer attention. Sierra felt familiar tension as Mitchell approached the shooting line where evidence of her morning session remained visible. The 500-meter target still displayed the grouping that included her accidentally perfect shot alongside 4 deliberately missed rounds. Mitchell studied the target through binoculars for several minutes, his expression growing more serious as he analyzed the shooting pattern. Sierra watched from a distance as the colonel examined evidence that could compromise months of carefully maintained cover. "Whose shooting is this?" Mitchell asked Thompson, gesturing toward the 500-meter target. "That's Staff Sergeant Parker's work from this morning's training session," Thompson replied. "She got lucky with 1 shot, but the rest show she's still learning the basics." Mitchell continued studying the target while his expression reflected recognition of something that other observers had missed. The accidentally perfect shot displayed characteristics that experienced instructors could identify: wind compensation, elevation adjustment, and precision that indicated advanced training rather than random luck. "Where is Staff Sergeant Parker now?" Mitchell inquired. "Equipment maintenance area, sir. She's cleaning her rifle after the training session." Mitchell walked toward the maintenance area where Sierra was conducting her post-shooting routine with the same theatrical mediocrity she applied to marksmanship. She appeared to be learning equipment care through trial and error rather than demonstrating the automatic precision that reflected years of professional training. "Staff Sergeant Parker," Mitchell called as he approached her position. Sierra looked up from her rifle cleaning with the startled expression of someone unaccustomed to attention from senior officers. "Yes, sir. Is there something I can help you with?" Mitchell studied her carefully, noting details that casual observers missed: the way she held the rifle despite appearing awkward, the precision of her equipment arrangement despite seeming disorganized, and the controlled tension that suggested someone maintaining careful performance rather than expressing natural behavior. "I observed your target at 500 meters, Mitchell said quietly. "That's interesting shooting for someone still learning basic marksmanship." "Thank you, sir. Sergeant Thompson has been very patient with my training." "Show me how you achieved that center shot." Sierra felt ice in her veins as Mitchell made a request that could expose months of carefully maintained operational security. Demonstrating her actual capabilities would compromise her cover assignment while potentially revealing classified training methods to personnel lacking appropriate clearances. "Sir, I'm not sure I can repeat it. I think I just got lucky with all the fundamentals coming together at the right moment." Mitchell's expression indicated he wasn't satisfied with explanations involving luck or coincidence. His experience with advanced marksmanship allowed recognition of precision that resulted from training rather than random chance. "Staff Sergeant, accompany me to my office. We need to discuss your background and training history." Sierra followed Mitchell through the base administrative complex while maintaining her cover persona of confused compliance. But internally, she was calculating the probability that her mission had been compromised and preparing responses that would protect operational security without creating additional security risks. Mitchell's office contained awards, photographs, and memorabilia that reflected decades of service in the military's most elite units. Sierra recognized insignia from operations she had studied during her own classified training, including units whose existence wasn't acknowledged in official records. "Close the door and activate the security system," Mitchell instructed, gesturing toward electronic equipment that created secure environments for classified discussions. Sierra complied, while her mind raced through protocols for handling exposure of deep cover operations. Her training included procedures for maintaining operational security even when confronted by senior officers who lacked complete information about ongoing intelligence missions. Mitchell activated additional security measures that indicated his office was cleared for discussions involving highly classified information. The electronic countermeasures would prevent surveillance by any standard monitoring equipment while creating an environment suitable for sensitive conversations. "Staff Sergeant Sierra Parker," Mitchell said slowly, consulting classified files on his computer. "According to your official records, you completed basic training 18 months ago and have been assigned to Fort Campbell for advanced individual training in logistics and supply management." "Yes, sir. That's correct." Mitchell activated additional displays, showing information that wasn't contained in standard personnel files. According to other records, Staff Sergeant Sierra Parker graduated first in her class from the Army Sniper School, completed advanced reconnaissance training with the 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta, and achieved a confirmed kill at 2,347 meters during Operation Nightblade in classified theater of operations. Sierra maintained her expression of confused innocence, while her mind processed the implications of Mitchell's access to information that should have been compartmentalized beyond his clearance level. "Sir, I think there might be some confusion with personnel records. I've never been assigned to any special operations units." Mitchell smiled for the first time since beginning their conversation. "Staff Sergeant, I commanded Delta Force operations during the time frame when these activities occurred. I personally reviewed after-action reports that included your performance statistics. Sir, I'm not sure what records you're referring to, but the longest confirmed kill in Delta Force history," Mitchell interrupted. 2,347 meters in mountainous terrain with crosswinds exceeding 15 knots, 1 shot, 1 kill, mission success that prevented compromise of classified operations. Sierra felt her carefully maintained cover crumbling as Mitchell demonstrated knowledge that only a handful of people should possess. Her training included protocols for this situation, but none that provided clear guidance for handling exposure by someone whose credentials appeared legitimate. "Sir, even if those records exist, I'm not authorized to discuss classified operations." "Understood, Staff Sergeant, but I need to understand why someone with your capabilities is conducting extended cover operations at Fort Campbell while pretending to be an incompetent marksman." Mitchell's question confirmed that he possessed more information about her assignment than standard security protocols should have allowed. Either his clearances exceeded her understanding, or her mission had been compromised through security breaches that created immediate dangers for ongoing operations. "Sir, I'm not authorized to confirm or deny any cover operations." "Staff Sergeant Parker, I'm not asking you to compromise operational security. I'm asking you to trust that I have legitimate reasons for this conversation." Mitchell activated additional classified displays showing organizational charts and operational structures that included units whose existence Sierra recognized from her own classified briefings. His access to this information suggested authority that exceeded standard command structures. "I'm currently responsible for a classified program that requires personnel with your specific qualifications," Mitchell continued. "Your cover assignment at Fort Campbell was designed to evaluate your suitability for advanced operations that exceed conventional military capabilities." Sierra studied Mitchell's credentials while her mind processed the implications of his statement. If he was legitimate, her extended assignment at Fort Campbell had been part of a larger evaluation process. If he was not legitimate, this conversation represented a security breach that required immediate defensive action. "Sir, I would need confirmation through appropriate channels before discussing any classified assignments." Mitchell nodded approvingly. Excellent response. Your security consciousness confirms the evaluation reports about your professionalism. He activated his secure communication system and conducted a brief conversation using codes and terminology that Sierra recognized from her Delta Force training. The authentication process confirmed Mitchell's authority to discuss classified operations while validating his access to information about her background. Staff Sergeant, you have been under evaluation for the past 6 months to assess your suitability for a classified program that requires exceptional marksmanship skills, absolute psychological reliability, and ability to maintain operational security under extreme conditions. What type of program, sir? Mitchell displayed classified organizational charts showing a unit designation that Sierra hadn't encountered during her previous training. The program appeared to combine elements from multiple special operations organizations while maintaining operational independence that exceeded standard military structures. Long-range precision interdiction in denied territories where conventional military operations are politically or tactically impossible, Mitchell explained. Missions that require individual operators capable of achieving objectives that entire units couldn't accomplish through conventional means. Sierra reviewed the program description while calculating the implications for her career and the types of operations that would require her specific skill set. The program represented advancement beyond anything available through standard military channels. Sir, what would my role be in this program? Primary long-range precision specialist for operations requiring engagement of high-value targets at distances exceeding conventional capabilities. You would operate independently or with minimal support in environments where mission success depends entirely on individual performance. Mitchell activated tactical displays showing global locations where such operations might be required, denied territories, hostile environments, and strategic positions where political considerations prevented conventional military action. The program requires operators who can function independently for extended periods while maintaining capabilities that exceed conventional training standards. Your performance evaluations suggest you possess the psychological profile and technical skills for these missions. Sierra studied the program requirements while her mind processed the professional opportunities and personal risks associated with assignments that exceeded her current operational experience. Sir, what are the selection criteria? You've already completed the selection process, 6 months of maintaining perfect operational security while enduring psychological pressure that would compromise lesser operators. Your performance at Fort Campbell demonstrated exactly the characteristics we require. Mitchell displayed evaluation reports that documented every aspect of Sierra's cover assignment. Her ability to suppress natural capabilities, maintain psychological equilibrium under stress, and preserve operational security despite constant provocation from male soldiers whose behavior tested her professional discipline. The mockery, the condescending attitudes, the deliberate challenges to your competence, all designed to evaluate your response to psychological pressure that could compromise mission security during actual operations. Sir, the entire assignment was a test. The entire assignment was preparation for operations where maintaining cover could mean the difference between mission success and international incidents that affect national security. Sierra reviewed the evaluation framework while understanding how her daily experiences at Fort Campbell had been structured to assess capabilities that conventional training couldn't evaluate. Her ability to maintain perfect cover while enduring constant humiliation had demonstrated psychological resilience required for deep cover operations. What happens now, sir? Mitchell deactivated the classified displays and returned his office to standard security configuration. Now you receive orders for advanced training that will prepare you for operations requiring precision engagement at distances that challenge human and equipment limitations. Sir, I accept the assignment. Outstanding. But first, we need to conclude your cover mission at Fort Campbell in a way that doesn't compromise future operations or create suspicions about your true capabilities. Mitchell outlined a transition plan that would gradually improve Sierra's apparent marksmanship skills over the following weeks, creating a believable progression from marginal competence to acceptable proficiency without revealing her actual capabilities. Your improvement will be attributed to dedicated training and natural ability finally developing under proper instruction. No one will suspect that you've been deliberately suppressing skills that exceed their collective capabilities. 2 weeks later, Sierra's shooting performance began showing steady improvement that impressed her previous critics while maintaining believability for observers who had witnessed months of mediocre marksmanship. Her groupings tightened gradually, her range extended progressively, and her confidence appeared to grow naturally. "I told you Parker had potential," Thompson announced after Sierra achieved consistent accuracy at 300 meters. She just needed proper instruction and time to develop her natural abilities. "Looks like all that patient teaching finally paid off," Williams agreed, studying targets that showed improvement patterns, suggesting dedicated training rather than suppressed expertise. Sierra accepted their congratulations with appropriate humility, while internally calculating that she was still performing at approximately 10% of her actual capabilities. Her improvement remained several levels below her true skill set, while providing sufficient demonstration of competence to justify her upcoming transfer. 3 weeks after Mitchell's visit, Sierra received official orders for advanced marksmanship training at a facility whose location wasn't specified in standard military databases. Her assignment at Fort Campbell concluded with commendations for dedication and improvement that exceeded initial expectations. "You've come a long way, Parker," Thompson said during her departure ceremony. 6 months ago, I wasn't sure you'd ever be ready for advanced training. Now you're heading to specialized instruction that most soldiers never get the opportunity to attempt. "Thank you for your patience, Sergeant. I couldn't have improved without your instruction." Thompson's expression reflected satisfaction with his role in Sierra's apparent development from struggling recruit to competent marksman ready for advanced training. He had no idea that his student had been conducting one of the most sophisticated performance evaluations in military history. Sierra departed Fort Campbell with official records showing gradual improvement in marksmanship skills and recommendations for advanced training based on demonstrated potential and dedication. Her cover mission was complete, her evaluation successful, and her next assignment would finally allow employment of capabilities that had been suppressed for 6 months. The specialized training facility was located in terrain that provided natural firing ranges extending beyond conventional distances while maintaining operational security necessary for classified programs. Sierra arrived to find instructors whose credentials matched or exceeded her own: former Delta Force snipers, classified program graduates, and specialists whose achievements couldn't be discussed in unclassified environments. "Staff Sergeant Parker," greeted Master Sergeant Williams, the chief instructor whose reputation was legendary among personnel with appropriate clearances. "Colonel Mitchell briefed us on your evaluation performance. Impressive psychological resilience and operational security." "Thank you, Master Sergeant." "Your real training begins now. No more pretending to be incompetent. No more suppressing capabilities. For the next 6 months, you'll be pushed to the absolute limits of human and equipment performance." The advanced training program exceeded every challenge Sierra had encountered during her previous military education. Precision shooting at distances approaching the theoretical maximum for small arms, environmental conditions that tested human endurance, and mission scenarios that required innovative solutions to tactical problems with no standard answers. But for the first time in 6 months, Sierra could operate without limitations imposed by cover requirements. Her natural abilities, enhanced by years of specialized training, could be applied without restriction to challenges that demanded maximum performance. The other students in the program possessed similar backgrounds: operators whose capabilities exceeded conventional training while requiring development that pushed beyond established limits. They shared experiences of maintaining cover assignments that suppressed their true abilities while evaluating their suitability for missions that couldn't be discussed outside classified environments. The psychological component of advanced operations is often more challenging than the technical requirements, explained Dr. Sarah Chen, the program's psychological specialist. Operators must maintain perfect emotional control while conducting missions where individual performance determines success or failure with international implications. Sierra's training included mission scenarios that replicated conditions she might encounter during actual operations: isolated positions, extended duration, environmental extremes, and engagement requirements that pushed human capabilities to theoretical limits. But the most valuable component of the program was the opportunity to work with instructors and colleagues who understood her true capabilities. For the first time since beginning her cover assignment, Sierra could discuss technical aspects of advanced marksmanship with people who possessed sufficient expertise to appreciate the complexity of precision shooting under combat conditions. Your longest confirmed kill during classified operations was 2,347 meters, noted Gunnery Sergeant Martinez, the long-range precision specialist. We're going to extend that range to distances that approach the theoretical maximum for conventional ammunition. The advanced marksmanship training pushed Sierra's capabilities beyond anything she had previously attempted. Shots at distances exceeding 3,000 meters under conditions that challenged fundamental assumptions about precision shooting, accuracy, and effectiveness. But Sierra discovered that her psychological conditioning during the cover assignment at Fort Campbell had enhanced her ability to maintain concentration under stress that would compromise less experienced operators. The months of enduring mockery and suppressing natural responses had developed mental discipline that improved her performance under extreme conditions. Psychological resilience is often the determining factor in successful completion of advanced operations, observed Colonel Mitchell during one of his periodic evaluations. Your ability to maintain perfect operational security while enduring daily challenges to your competence demonstrated exactly the mental toughness required for independent operations. 6 months of advanced training culminated in qualification exercises that tested every aspect of Sierra's development: technical marksmanship, psychological resilience, operational planning, and mission execution under conditions that replicated actual deployment scenarios. Sierra's final qualification involved precision engagement at 3,247 meters, exactly 900 meters beyond her previous record, under environmental conditions that included crosswinds, temperature variations, and atmospheric pressure, changes that affected trajectory calculations with complexity that challenged human computational abilities. The shot required integration of advanced ballistic theory, environmental analysis, equipment optimization, and psychological control that represented the pinnacle of human marksmanship achievement. Success would qualify her for operations requiring capabilities that exceeded conventional military training. Sierra spent 47 minutes calculating variables that affected bullet trajectory over a distance approaching 2 miles, wind speed and direction at multiple altitudes, temperature gradients, barometric pressure variations, and equipment factors that influenced accuracy with margins measured in thousandths of inches. But the most critical component was psychological control. Maintaining perfect concentration while understanding that mission qualification depended on single-shot accuracy that challenged human limitations under conditions where second chances didn't exist. Sierra fired once. The bullet traveled for 4.3 seconds across terrain that included elevation changes, wind shear zones, and atmospheric conditions that created trajectory challenges requiring compensation beyond normal human computational abilities. The target impact was perfect center mass. "Qualification achieved," announced Master Sergeant Williams. "Staff Sergeant Parker is now certified for independent operations requiring precision engagement at distances exceeding conventional capabilities." Sierra's achievement represented more than individual success. It validated the evaluation and training methodology that had identified her potential through analysis of psychological resilience rather than demonstrated technical capabilities. Your performance during the cover assignment provided better assessment of operational suitability than any conventional training program could achieve, Mitchell explained during the graduation ceremony. Maintaining perfect security while enduring constant psychological pressure demonstrated exactly the characteristics required for missions where individual operators function independently under extreme stress. The program that had begun with 6 months of deliberate failure at Fort Campbell concluded with achievements that represented the pinnacle of human marksmanship capability. Sierra had progressed from pretending to be incompetent to achieving qualifications that exceeded conventional military training standards. But her greatest satisfaction came from understanding that every moment of mockery, every condescending comment, and every deliberate challenge to her competence had served purposes that enhanced her capabilities for missions requiring the ultimate combination of technical skill and psychological resilience. The soldiers at Fort Campbell who had dismissed her as another struggling female recruit would never know that their attitudes and behavior had been documented and analyzed as part of her evaluation process. Their mockery had provided valuable intelligence about personnel whose behavior toward female soldiers suggested potential security vulnerabilities or disciplinary problems. 6 months later, Staff Sergeant Sierra Parker received promotion to Sergeant First Class and assignment to operations that couldn't be discussed outside classified channels. Her missions involved precision engagement in denied territories where conventional military action was impossible due to political considerations or tactical limitations. But her most valued achievement was proving that excellence could emerge from situations that appeared to demonstrate failure when those situations were actually sophisticated evaluations designed to assess capabilities that conventional training couldn't measure. The shooting range at Fort Campbell continued operating with the same personnel who had provided daily entertainment through Sierra's apparent struggles with basic marksmanship. They occasionally mentioned the female recruit who had finally achieved competence through dedicated training and proper instruction. None of them suspected that their former student was conducting precision operations at distances they couldn't imagine, in locations they couldn't access, for missions that would never appear in official records. Staff Sergeant Sierra Parker had proven that the most effective training sometimes involved learning to fail convincingly while maintaining capabilities that exceeded every expectation of people who confused performance with potential. And somewhere in classified files marked Top Secret Delta Force Operations, her achievement was recorded as validation that individual excellence could transcend any limitation when circumstances demanded performance that challenged the boundaries of human possibility. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, you can subscribe to see more incredible stories like this one.